The verdict, Celebrity Estate Interrupted series finale, 11 episodes, 11 kingdoms, 11 warnings. This is what they all add up to. Not a legal verdict, a personal one. And the ruling is the war over wealth is already happening. The only question is whether you are prepared. Michael Jackson.
Aretha Franklin.
Matthew Perry.
Marie Presley.
Shannen Doherty.
Ray Charles.
Stan Lee.
Tony Bennett.
Prince.
Tupac Shakur. 10 people, 10 different situations, 10 different mistakes, or in the case of Ray Charles, 10 different limits of what even a perfect plan can accomplish against a law that Congress passed without anyone realizing what it would mean for the artists it affected.
10 careers that changed the world. 10 fortunes built from extraordinary talent and extraordinary work. 10 families who deserved better than what the absence of a plan or the incompleteness of one delivered to them. And one verdict. The verdict is not guilty. It is innocent, it is urgent. The judicial war does not discriminate. It does not care how much you earned. It does not care how famous you were. It does not care how much you loved your family or how hard you worked or how clearly you understood. In every other area of your life, the difference between building something and protecting it. The war arrives the moment you are no longer able to speak for yourself. And it takes everything that is not protected.
This is the series finale of Celebrity Estate Interrupted. We have spent 11 episodes in the most expensive classroom in the history of entertainment. Today, we deliver the verdict and the framework and the action steps that began Monday morning. I'm Alexis Nassif.
And I am Natalie Francine. This is Wealth, War, and Real Estate, Celebrity Estate Interrupted. Episode 12, The Verdict.
For women, by women, and men too.
Well, we only talked about Aretha Franklin, that was a woman in this. Is Aretha Franklin the only woman that we hit on in this?
No, Marie Presley.
Marie Presley, Shannen Doherty.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so there was a few.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. We had a good mix of individuals.
Yeah, we did. And different pictures of what they went through.
Totally different. Like completely different dynamics, but all missing a piece.
Exactly.
Season 1, Episode 1 and 2, Michael Jackson, the Unfunded Trust, and the Civil War. The trust is not the plan. The funded trust is the plan. Michael Jackson's trust existed for years before he died. It was never funded. His entire $2 billion estate, the catalog, the publishing rights, the image, the legacy, went through public probate for 17 years because no one transferred the assets into the document that was supposed to protect them. The lesson, the trust document is the container. The funding is what makes it a plan.
Season 1, Episode 3, Aretha Franklin, The Couch Will. A holographic will written in a spiral notebook and found under a couch cushion is not estate planning. It is a legal time bomb. The Queen of Soul, who earned $80 million in her career, left her family to fight over multiple competing handwritten documents in a Michigan courtroom for years. The lesson: privacy is not achieved by keeping your plan to yourself. Privacy is achieved by properly drafting a trust that never enters the public record.
Season 1, Episode 4, Matthew Perry, The Empty Box. The trust is a container. A container only holds what you put into it, including everything you acquire after the day you create it. Matthew Perry funded $120 million into the Alvy Singer Living Trust and left $1.5 million in a bank account that was never retitled. That 1.25% made his death a public court record during a federal criminal investigation. The lesson: the annual trust audit is the minimum standard of estate planning hygiene for anyone with meaningful wealth.
Season 1, Episode 5, Lisa Marie Presley, The Secret Amendment, a trust amendment that is signed and never communicated, is a legal time bomb. Lisa Marie Presley changed her trust in 2016, removed her mother as co-trustee, and never told Priscilla. Priscilla found out after her daughter died. The settlement cost Riley Kehoe $1.4 million. The lesson: the people affected by your estate plan decisions
deserve to hear those decisions from you while you are alive, while you can explain your reasoning, while they have a chance to understand.
Absolutely.
Season 1, Episode 6, Shannen Doherty, The Deathbed Settlement. Every day of an unfinalized divorce is a day of financial exposure. Shannen Doherty signed her divorce settlement one day before she died. Her estate spent 2 years fighting over whether that one day was enough. The lesson: do not wait for the deathbed. Treat every day of a contested marriage as the day your estate plan could be activated, because it can be.
Season 1, Episode 7, Ray Charles, The Federal Backdoor. Even a perfect estate plan has limits. Ray Charles did everything right. A properly structured trust, funded assets, named trustees, specific bequests, and a federal law Congress passed in 1976 gave his children an inalienable right to reclaim his copyrights that
his private contracts could not block. The lesson: if you own intellectual property, your estate attorney must understand federal copyright law.
The termination right exists. It cannot be contracted away, and it will be exercised by someone.
Season 1, Episode 8, Stan Lee, The Inside Man. The Inside Man is always someone you invited in. $21 million was taken from Stan Lee in his final years by people who had been a part of his life for years. His business manager, his road manager, his caregiver. They used isolation, proximity, and cognitive decline to dismantle everything Joan Lee had spent 70 years protecting. The lesson: build independent oversight before you need it. The protection you construct while you are strong is the only thing that protects you when you are not.
Season 1, Episode 9, Tony Bennett, The Sibling Standoff. One family member with unchecked authority over an estate is one of the highest risk structures in an estate planning, regardless of that person's intentions. Tony Bennett earned over $100 million in his final 15 years. His daughters each received $245,000. The gap between those two numbers and the subject of the active litigation in New York. The lesson: mandatory accountings, conflict of interest provisions, and independent oversight are not a sign of distrust. They are the mechanism that makes trust sustainable.
Season 1, Episode 10, Prince, Died Without a Kingdom. The most controlling artist in the history of the music industry died without a will. 6 half-siblings who barely know each other were thrown together by Minnesota intestacy law. 6 years of probate, 10 of millions in legal fees, Paisley Park converted to a museum without instructions from the man who built it. The lesson: intestacy law gives your estate to the wrong people and the wrong process. A will and a trust cost thousands. Intestacy costs millions. And it costs the thing money cannot replace, which is the certainty that your wishes were honored.
Season 1, Episode 11, Tupac Shakur, The Napkin Contract. Estate planning is not for old people. It is not for people who have accumulated enough. It is for anyone generating wealth at any age, at any stage. Tupac Shakur was 25 years old and generated $60 million a year. He signed a contract in a prison waiting room that handed his fortune to a label. He died $200,000 and $4.9 in debt. His mother, 20 years she took building a legacy from scratch because he left her nothing to work with. The lesson, do the work now while you are here.
While
And-
you can choose what happens.
Thank you.
The war, 11 cases, 11 verdicts, one pattern. The judicial war does not come from outside your life. It comes from gaps inside your plan. The trust that was never funded, the amendment that was never communicated, the account that was never retitled, the will that was never written. Every single case in this series was preventable. Not the deaths, not the diagnosis, not the accidents, but the legal wars that followed. Every one of them was preventable by documents that any competent estate planning attorney could have prepared. The cases are the evidence. The verdict is urgent.
I just went through mine and I have to redo everything, my trust, my will. In 45 years of California real estate, working with clients through divorces, through probate proceedings, through inherited property disputes, through the most complex and consequential financial transfers of their lives, I have watched the same failures repeat themselves across every income level, every age group, every type of family. The failures are not complicated. They are specific and they are preventable. Here is the complete framework built from 11 cases and 45 years of watching what goes wrong when the framework is not in place. Every complete estate plan requires 5 foundational documents, not eventually, now. The revocable living trust, the foundation of everything. This is the document that holds your assets privately, transfers them into your designated beneficiaries without probate, and gives your trustee the authority to manage your affairs if you become incapacitated. Every person with meaningful assets needs one. Not a will alone, a trust, the pour-over will, the safety net, directs any assets not in the trust at your death to pour into the trust and be administered according to its terms. Matthew Perry had this. It worked. It still required probate for the unfunded account. The pour-over will is not the plan. It is the net under the plan, the durable power of attorney with independent oversight requirements. Designates who makes the financial decision if you become incapacitated. Must include accountability mechanisms. The Stan Lee case demonstrates exactly what happens when a power of attorney has no oversight. The healthcare directive. Who makes the medical decisions when you cannot? Who has access to your medical information? What your wishes are for your life-sustaining treatment. The document is not about estate planning. It is about ensuring that the people who love you are not making impossible decisions in a hospital corridor without guidance. The legacy letter, not a legal document, but essential. A written statement of your values, your intentions, your specific wishes for how your estates, your assets should be used, your relationship with the people named in your plan, and any context that helps your trustees and beneficiaries understand what you were thinking when you made the decisions you made. Lisa Marie Presley could have written one explaining the 2016 amendment. It would have cost nothing It would have prevented $1.4 million in settlement costs.
The documents are the beginning. The funding is what makes the plan real. Every piece of real property must be retitled in the name of your trust, not directed into your will, titled in it. The deed must reflect the trust as owner. This requires your attorney to prepare a new deed and record it in the appropriate county. Every bank account and investment account must be retitled in the name of your trust. Log into each account, look at the name on the account. If it says your name personally, that account is outside of your trust. A single visit to your bank with a copy of your trust document is usually all that's required. All beneficiary designations, life insurance, retirement accounts, 401k, IRA, pension, must be reviewed and updated. These assets pass by designation, not by your trust or your will. If your ex-spouse is still named as beneficiary on your life insurance policy, they will receive it regardless of what your trust says. Every new asset acquired after the trust is created must be titled in the trust's name from the moment of acquisition, not retroactively, at the moment of purchase. This is the discipline that prevents the Matthew Perry problem from recurring. Annual trust audit every 12 months with your estate planning attorney. Review the complete inventory of your assets against the trust's title record. What is in it? What slipped out? What new assets need to be moved into that trust?
The Tony Bennett case exists because there were no accountability structures. The Stan Lee case exists because there were no accountability structures. The Tupac Shakur estate battle of 2022 exists because there were no accountability structures built into it. Afeni's plan, when she died, here is what accountability structures look like. Mandatory annual accounting to all beneficiaries required in the trust document itself. Not a courtesy, a legal obligation. Every asset, every transaction, every distribution, every fee, every commission, filed annually, available to every beneficiary as a matter of right. Independent trust protector, a third party with no financial stake in the outcome, appointed in the trust document with specific authority to review major decisions and remove the trustee for cause if necessary. Conflict of interest provisions. If your trustee is also your business manager, attorney in fact, or holds any other role creating a financial relationship with the estate, the trust must address those conflicts explicitly. Any transaction in which the trustee has personal financial interest requires independent approval, financial monitoring, and independent oversight. A CPA or financial advisor who receives regular account statements and has a mandate to flag unusual activity, not the person managing the accounts. Someone whose only job is to watch and compare. A trusted inner circle that communicates the people protecting you should know each other. The attorney should know the financial advisor, who knows the trustee, who knows the family member most involved in your affairs. Predators, and the Tony Bennett case reminds us that predators are not always strangers. Use isolation as our primary tool. A communicating in a circle eliminates the gaps they operate in.
Every document in the world cannot replace the conversations that prevents the war.
Yeah.
Lisa Marie Presley had the right to change her trust. She did not have the conversation. That silence cost $1.4 million and put Graceland in a courtroom. Tell the people your plan affects what your plan says. while you're alive, while you can explain your reasoning, while the conversation can be a conversation than a courtroom proceeding. Communicate any amendments to all affected parties, not through their attorneys after you die, but from you directly while you are here. Review your plan every 3 years or whenever a significant life event occurs. Marriage, divorce, birth of a child, death of a family member, significant change in assets. Any of these events should trigger a review to compare your plan. If you have international assets, coordinate legal counsel in each jurisdiction. The American trust does not automatically govern the Turks and Caicos property. The Minnesota probate court does not automatically understand TCI property law. Get the right legal advice in the right jurisdiction. I want to tell you about Christopher Nassif. Not the professional resume, though the professional resume is extraordinary. The youngest person in history to establish a top-tier talent agency, founding CNA and Associates at 22 years old, fresh out of USC, building it into the top 10 status while still in his 20s, merging with Premier Artist in 2000 to form Diverse Talent Group, one of the top 8 agencies worldwide. Not the client list, though the client list tells you everything. Luke Perry, Chris negotiated his Beverly Hills 90210 deal. Austin Butler, Chrissy Metz, James Vanderbeek, Ricky Martin, Sofia Vergara, Crystal Lip, and more. Careers he saw coming before the rest of the industry knew what it was looking at. Not even the creative ventures, the CEO role at Diverse Media Group, the joint venture with Stan Lee's POW Entertainment, the partnership with Cinedigm at Insurrection Entertainment, the films and the television products, and the decades of work that stretched beyond representation into building intellectual property that lasted.
Oh, wow. Did a lot.
I want to tell you about who Chris was. He was the man in the room who knew the difference between the people who came to build something and the people who came to take something. He spent 40 years watching both kinds of people operate at the highest level of the entertainment industry. He saw them the moment they walked in. He knew with a clarity that most people never develop the difference between genuine intention and strategic proximity. He was inside the world that this series is built on. He knew the Michael Jackson world, not from Wikipedia, but from the industry as at its highest level, from the people who genuinely were in those rooms. He held a creative joint venture with Stan Lee's POW Entertainment. He connected to Ray Charles' personal assistant for decades. He had conversations about Tupac Shakur with people who were inside that world in ways that most people never were. He arranged a meeting that never happened because the man who was supposed to walk into that room died before anyone came in to speak to him. And through all of it, through 40 years of watching wealth created and wealth consumed, through 40 years of watching estates built and estates dismantled, through 40 years of watching the judicial war arrive for people who had not prepared, Chris understood one thing above all else. The women in these stories were almost always the last ones standing. The wives, the daughters, the partners, the mothers who spent 20 years fighting record labels to preserve what their child had built. The daughters who filed lawsuits to understand where the money went. The women who showed up after the men were gone and discovered that the plan, if there was one, had not been built with them in mind. Chris passed away in 2022, and Wealth, War, and Real Estate, this show, this series, this conversation is the thing he always knew needed to happen. For the women, by the women, about the wars that the industry hoped they would never know to fight.
The 20-year question that Christopher Nassif would have asked every client who walked through his door. If the man who launched Luke Perry and Austin Butler, who held a joint venture with Stan Lee's POW Entertainment, who watched from the inside as the Predators operated and the estates collapsed, if that man understood that the judicial war comes to everyone eventually, what are you doing today to ensure that your hands and your heirs' hands stay free? We have spent 11 episodes in the most expensive classroom in the history of entertainment. Michael Jackson, Aretha Franklin, Matthew Perry, Lisa Marie Presley, Shannen Doherty, Ray Charles, Stan Lee, Tony Bennett, Prince, Tupac Shakur. They built empires, they generated fortunes. They created work that will outlast every one of us in this room. And they left through planning, failures of varying degrees and varying complexity. The people they loved most fighting battles that they did not have to happen.
The verdict of this series is not a legal verdict. A legal verdict would say guilty or not guilty. This verdict says something different. This verdict says the war over wealth is already happening. The $124 trillion transfer is already underway right now. As you listen to this episode, estates are being filed in courtrooms across California and across this country. Families are fighting over documents they have never seen. Children are discovering that what they thought they were inheriting is not what the law says they are entitled to. Women are standing in the aftermath of someone else's planning failure and learning too late what the plan should have said. The women who come out of the next 20 years with their wealth intact, with their families intact, with their legacies protected, are not the ones who were the smartest or the luckiest ones. They are the most prepared.
Your action from this series is not a list. It's a phone call this week, not next month, not when things settle down, not when you have more time. This week, you call your estate planning attorney. If you do not have one, you find one. You tell them have just completed 11 episodes of the most expensive education in estate planning available anywhere. And you tell them you are ready to build a plan that ensures you are not the 12th case.
This has been Celebrity Estate Interrupted, 12 episodes, 11 kingdoms lost, one framework for protecting yours. Chris Nassif spent 40 years understanding the difference between generating wealth and owning it, between building a legacy and protecting one, between being in the room and knowing what to do when you get there.
Yeah.
This show is his, and it is yours, and it ends right now with the only question that matters.
The final 20-year question. 20 years from now, when the $124 trillion transfer is complete and the judicial wars of this era are settled, will you be the woman who protected what she built, who had the documents, the funding, the accountability structures, and the conversations, who did the work while she was here, while she had the chance, while the people she loved were still able to benefit from them? Or will you be a case study in someone else's podcast, warning the next generation about what you could have done differently? The verdict is yours. The war is already happening. Are you prepared?
I am Natalie Francine, the architect.
I'm Alexis Nassif, the Oracle.
For women, by women. See you next time.
Bye-bye. Please take this to heart. It's
very
all
important. Alexis has to go get hers going as we speak. Because
I have to redo the whole thing.
everything that she has done, all of
changed.
this thing, all of this time, everything has to change.
Yeah.
So this is Alexis's real...
It's an eye-opener, and I've learned a lot.
Yes.
And I really have. It's
Me too.
very tough. And it's a lot of paperwork, but it's worth it.
Definitely worth it. And there's a lot of seminars that can help you put this together if you don't have an attorney.
Yeah.
Most people who have their money intact have their things together, but as we've learned, that's not always true.
And it changes constantly. Everything changes. Your assets, divorces, deaths, all kinds of things change. And maybe when you made your first will and trust, you didn't quite understand what you were doing. And there's a lot of attorneys who hold special seminars that are free. I would definitely suggest looking for them and taking them.
And getting it together, because there's no time like the present.
Yeah.
You can't do it later.
No. And I'm getting ready for some surgery.
Yeah.
And I need to do and make sure everything is in order before I have that surgery. You never know what can happen.
That's right. You
Yeah.
don't know. Look at poor Chris. I mean, we had just driven across country and, he had a heart attack. Unexpected, out of nowhere. So.
And died in your arms.
Died in my arms.
My dear brother.
My dear love.
Yeah. Very horrible. Very tragic.
So, even though you think you have a lot of time,
You don't.
you don't.
The time is now.
Now.
Not tomorrow. Not mañana. Este día. Today. See you later.